Welcome, everyone. It is Nikki. I am here to read your cards for the week of the 8th to the 14th of July. Now, we're going to go really in depth this week in how you can not only access this energy, but make the most of this energy. All of my readings are designed to help you become the fullest version of yourself, happy, healthy, wealthy, but most importantly, fully showing up as you in your life, in your business, in your entire reality. So let's dive in. The first sort of overall sign with the cards I've already pulled that is coming through is this is about really getting clear on what matters to you. And it's not maybe what you think it is, and it's not what you've been told it is, and it is definitely not what comes from a place of obligation and expectation. This is really around what lights you up, what makes you feel good, and what helps you shine your brightest. The way we're going to go through this reading is I'm going to start with the current energy. So this will help you really understand if this reading is for you. It's the things you're currently experiencing, mind, body, and soul. It might be internal, it might be external, but when you hear these, you will know it'll resonate. Now, within that, it isn't just an indicator of is this reading for you? It's also going to help give you clarity and insight into what is actually going on beneath the surface of what might feel like challenges, struggles, or simply circumstances outside of your control. So make sure to really be taking note of not only what lands, but what lingers. Then we're going to dive into how do you really step up and into your power this week. Every reading is about empowering yourself to a fuller extent. So without any more waffling, let's get to it. So the first cards that have come out, we have the Eight of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. Only just now in this moment realizing those are all swords. So this is really starting from a place of you're a bit stuck in your head. You're, quite stuck in, not just stuck in your head in terms of like reliving things and hashing out the past and like agonizing over stuff, stress, anxiety, thoughts and processes and things, though that is definitely part of it. What I really get the sense with these, swords cards just coming straight out of the gate is you're stuck in your habit of sort of expectation. Like only, we can think of literally everything. We are creative, we are imaginative. There are so many things that are possible. And yet we kind of all do this where we go through life and we kind of just choose the same paths and go through the same doors and look out the same windows. And we don't realize how limited we're being. Now, this isn't a judgment and it's totally okay. But it's a bit like being on autopilot all the time. So if you've been feeling like you've been on autopilot, first little sort of insight and aha today is like, take a look towards your fixed thinking. Take a look towards where you don't even question what's going through your mind. You don't even question how you predict things are going to work out or the choices that you make. So that is a really good indicator, first and foremost, of sometimes when we find ourselves in a challenging situation in any area of our life, it's because we're so fixed in just accepting it as it is. Like, this is the way it has to be. This is the way it's meant to be. This is the way, it all sort of makes sense. This is asking you to wake up. This is asking you to look up and look around and go, okay, let me step outside the box for a second. And the box might be your own thinking. It might be your own mind. It might just be the way that you've been operating. But when I step out of that, when I allow myself to see what else is there. Little side note here, I did an amazing training in my free Facebook group around having a growth mindset and becoming the person you desire to be. This resonates so heavily with this reading. I will share the link of how to join that group and get access to that reading below. So make sure to check that out. If you've really felt super fixed in your thinking, super stuck, super frustrated, super like, how do I get freaking out of my life and here and my circumstance? And it kind of doesn't feel like there is a way out, you're going to want to watch that reading. I mean, that workshop masterclass thing. Okay, let's go deeper into the cards. So with the Eight of Swords here, with the Eight of Swords here. So the current energy is, just really stuck in your thinking. You're not really fully accessing your emotions either. You're just living from your headspace. You're just living from this sort of cold, analytical, logical place. because it feels too dangerous to dip your toes into what you're actually feeling about your circumstances. Like you get pieces of it, get that flash of fear, you get that bit of anxiety. Maybe you're feeling, all of the emotions, but you don't fully go into them. You just maybe you avoid them, you distract yourself, you step away from it. The Eight of Swords is like this indicator that at the moment you're not allowing yourself to fully access your feelings. You're trapping yourself in the trappings of your mind. And this isn't doing you any favors. And the great thing about the Eight of Swords here is that you're able to get out of it because this is in your mind and therefore it is within your control. It'll take practice, it'll take effort, it'll take energy, yes, but this person is only stuck because they haven't like allowed themselves to try and break free, or they haven't realized they have the tools to break free. I have pulled clarifiers for each of these, so I'm gonna look at that one now. We have the Seven of Cups. So it's interesting that we've got, the Eight of Swords and the Seven of Cups. Both of these cards, when you really put them together, I get this sense of, it's almost overwhelming, the options around them. It's like they were faced with this. Oh my God, what do I do? It's too much, overwhelm, overwhelm, overwhelm. And so instead of sort of dealing with this or coming to terms with it, it's just, I'm just going to shut myself off. I've just decided too much, can't handle, step back, move on. But the thing is, if we don't move towards the choices in front of us, if we don't really examine the options and the pathways and the possibilities and all those infinitenesses outside of our little fixed sort of way of being, we're never going to know what we're capable of and what we can do, but also we're not able to actually move forward because we're just going to be treading water or standing still and telling ourselves a story around how there's nothing we could possibly do about it. So that's really interesting. For many of you, that's already going to resonate. But let's see what else there is here in the cards. So we've got the Ace of Swords next. So remember, this is around the current energy. So there is this feeling, though, that just with the right thought, with the right idea, with the right opportunity, you could totally, pierce through all of that clutter, all of those clouds, and come to this place of like, aha, that is what I meant to do. That is how I meant to be. That is what is, gonna lead me forward into this better future, this better life, this better thing. I sense, however, that this type of thinking, for all it looks very empowering and for all it looks really awesome, like, yes, just give me one thing to focus on, just give me one thing to make it simple. I get the sense here this week, for those of you who are meant to hear this reading, that is a bit of a trap. You've got all of these options. Yes, you've decided that there's too many, it's too much, it's overwhelming, but the answer isn't this black and white, all or nothing, or just like there's this one right thing. This is in and of itself a bit of a trapped way of thinking because you're always going to have more than one option. You're always going to have more than one passion. You're always going to have more than one career path or more than one person that you could spend your life with. Like I believe in multiple soulmates. So if you're resonating with this in regards to like relationships or love, or you're overwhelmed with, possibilities or partners or whatever it may be, and it all seems like too much, having the expectation that you can just cut everything else away and just have this one glorious divine solution in and of itself is just another trap. Let's look at the clarifier, the Hierophant. Yeah, that's a very fixed way of thinking, but it's also like you want someone to step in and tell you what to do. You want something to come in and save you. You also want to just almost sign away your sovereignty, and obviously this is happening subconsciously. No one's going, please sign me up for not being in control of my life. But that's the risk you run when you put all that your eggs in one basket. I'll only be happy if I get this outcome, or only be happy once I can just, narrow it down to one thing. If you're called to do great things in your life, or even exciting things, or wonderful things, or happy things, or cool things, it's probably going to come in the form of many things. Life isn't just one thing. And even if you had a very straightforward career path, or even if you had what feels like a very simple dream, you still have friendships and maybe romantic relationships. You've got your health, you've got your hobbies, you've got your spirituality, or your religion and your faith. You've got so many things in your life going on. It's never going to be one thing. That is something to explore. All right, let's look at the next card here. So this is the final card in terms of the current energies that you might be feeling or experiencing. With this one in particular, I get the sense that it's been hanging around for a little while. But the cool thing about this card is it's an indicator. It doesn't have to hang around for much longer. So you got the 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords, bit of, end of the rope kind of feeling. Also, I get the sense that there's been a lot of like sort of heaviness and darkness in your life lately. Not even coming from like a particular area in your life. It's just more life in and of itself has seemed a bit darker and a bit duller recently. Even though this is a Swords card, and the burden, you might really be feeling it in your mind. I just get the sense here that there's like it's a heartache to it. There's a heartbreak to it. So maybe something in your past, or even just something that feels like to have lingered for a while. It's really wearing on you emotionally. The clarifier is the 6 of Cups. This might be something to do with family. It might be something to do with your children. Or it even might be just because when I also see the 6 of Cups, I get this sense of gratitude and generosity and reciprocity and all those sort of things. And like maybe it feels like you don't have that. You don't have a beautiful give and take. You don't have a beautiful level of abundance in your life at the moment. You don't feel like you're as supported as you are supporting. So that's very interesting energy. So what we're going to do in a moment is move over into specifically how can you move forward this week more powerfully? How can you really, with this knowledge of, it's not all or nothing. It's not just one thing that's going to swoop in and save you. You are in the control seat of your mind. Time to open up your eyes. And also this sort of acknowledgement here around things have been tough, things have been hard. What can we now do with it? I get the sense with this overall current energy kind of happening here. This isn't about fixing this. It's not about absolving or resolving any of this energy necessarily. It's about acknowledging it. It's about awareness to it. It's about going, okay, and yes, I might be dealing with some tricky spirals in my mind. Yes, I might be dealing with this sort of savior kind of dream of like someone swooping in. Yes, I might be dealing with a lot of baggage in my past. That doesn't mean you can't have happy, healthy, wealthy life. It doesn't mean you can't have an amazing week this week. It definitely doesn't mean you can't start to make small incremental changes that are going to, over time, compound interest, improve your life and improve your situation. So let's start to talk about that stuff. Now, in the pre-shuffle, I pulled out 4 cards. They're in pairs. So there's 2 and 2. And immediately when I pulled these out, it reminded me of something I heard on a podcast today. Just to smush it all together and throw it at you, the main message with the podcast, the section I'm thinking of, they were talking about everyone in life is driven either by the stick or the carrot. So you're either driven to act, to grow, to try, to, do things in life because of the stick. So trying to avoid pain, avoid danger, avoid heartache, get away from something that is difficult or challenging or not ideal, or you're motivated by the carrot. So the thing dangling in front of you that you want. So that might be the dream, it might be the job, it might be the relationship, it might be a better financial situation. So that's the sort of first question I have already based on these cards to direct at you is, which one is motivating you? And there's not that there's a right or wrong. And it's like we've already heard today, it's not about one or the other either. It's totally okay to be like, sometimes I need the kick in the butt going, I don't want to be homeless or I don't want to be um alone or friendless for the rest of my life, or I don't want, you might actually be motivated to avoid certain things. And you can also be motivated to achieve certain things. So, the more moving towards rather than moving away. So it's not about right or wrong. If at the moment you're currently motivated more by the stick, okay, awareness, acknowledge, assess, think about, is that what I want? Maybe you're more motivated by your dreams. I just find it really interesting that this came out pretty much immediately after hearing that podcast episode. So I knew I had to share it with you all. There is something significant about what motivates you. There is something within that that can really be refined and honed this week to not only help you move forward, which is what I always hope to help people with, is like, how do you get closer to your dreams? How do you start to evolve and grow and become the person you desire to be and live the life you desire to live? It's something beyond that. The sense I'm getting is because you've been a little bit trapped in your mind, because you've been a little bit stuck in the past and just focusing on one solution or one outcome, you haven't quite gotten to the heart of what's really going to motivate you or what you really want to be working towards. So we're going to start with what I sort of decide here is the carrot aspect of the situation, the moving towardsness. We've got the Queen of Wands and we've got the Sun. Now, with the Queen of Wands and the Sun card together, I get this sense of let's actually view this through the lens of let's get clearer on what motivates you, both the carrot and the stick. I think that's going to be the most helpful. And then we can see if there's any further messages coming through here. So with the Queen of Wands and the Sun together, this is the acknowledgement that you are a passionate person, you are a powerful person, and there are things in your life that feel like almost like a moth to the flame, like you are drawn to it, you are excited by it, you are invigorated by it, like it is life-giving to you. What are those things? What makes you feel, like childlike and naive and just like full of, you know, bubbles and happiness and sunshine? Like there is a part of you that just wants to be a naked kid on a horse, waving the flag around and having a good time. Like this is such a beautiful energy. Thinking more specifically, I just even love the fact that in these cards, like she's got a sunflower and it's like seamlessly transitioning into the sun card there. Um, on that note, the Queen of Wands only has one sunflower. It's like this adult version of you, this grown-up version of you that's decided, yeah, like there's all of these amazing things, but I can just choose one, or I'm just allowing myself one, or it's going to be so hard, so I'll just choose one. So there is an element here of, there is so much more that could positively motivate you. There are so many more carrots that you could dangle in front of your face and like move towards. And yet, for all your power and all your passion and all your interest in creating a beautiful life, there is still a part of you that is limiting yourself in what you believe you can have. And whether that's a thing of worthiness, like you don't know if you're worthy of multiple sunflowers and multiple passions and multiple good things, or you simply don't think you have the resources, or it's unrealistic. Maybe there's an issue here of believing that it's a little bit selfish to want more than that. Because you already have this possibility to be the queen. You already have a big, beautiful, juicy goal. Shouldn't that be enough? The sun is like, you can have it all. You can go for it all. So this week, as you're moving through the week, as you're thinking about your goals, as you're thinking about where you want to end up, not just at the end of the week, but at the end of the month and the end of the year and the end of however far forward you can think. I can't go much further than the end of the year. just opening up a little bit more to, I can aim for all of the things I want, and I can desire and dream of all the things that light me up. And it doesn't mean you need to triple or quadruple your workload. That's not necessarily how you need to move towards your dreams, but allowing yourself to want them, allowing yourself to play within that space. So maybe this week you look at your calendar, and yeah, you might not write if you want to write a book, for example, you might not sit down and 10 hours a day for the whole week write your book because there's other things to do, but maybe you spend 10 minutes planning it out. Maybe you spend 2 hours on Thursday actually sitting down and starting chapter 1. You can take steps towards all of your goals and dreams, even if it's just in 5-minute increments. That doesn't, in our brains, sound like enough, but ask your heart, would you enjoy spending time on all the things that you love and desire this week just because you love and desire them? Have a go. If there's anything that you'd like to share of what you love and desire, what you're working towards, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Now, the next 2 cards, this is the stick. So this is like what we're trying to move away from, get away from. It's that kind of kick in the butt energy of why we're doing the things we're doing. We've got the World card in reverse. And we've got the Hermit. It's really interesting, the amount of major arcana cards coming out in your reading. I find it interesting that the World is in reverse. There's this like off-center, topsy-turvy kind of energy when it comes to avoiding the judgments and expectations of the people around you and society at large. That stick energy, the moving away energy, like what you're trying to avoid standing out too much and people looking at you like, what are they doing? You don't want to be the weirdo. You don't want to be the odd one out. So it's almost like what you're trying to avoid is any kind of judgment or any type of backlash and reaction from people viewing you and going, what is that? This has sort of unintentionally, obviously, made you dim your light and isolate yourself, because when we can't fully be ourselves because we don't feel safe because of that judgment, because of that expectation, what actually happens is you're kind of stuck in this place of like, I can be me when I'm with me. So you're not being your full self, you're not being your true self. And like a big impact I'm sensing from this is because you hardly ever let yourself be yourself, do you even know yourself? You might be finding it hard to think about all these, different sunflowers and different passions and different carrots, because you just have spent so long dimming your light, choosing what's safe, avoiding judgment and the expectation of others. And that, I think, is the crux of these messages and this reading. It's like, if you don't allow yourself to choose all of yourself, you're never really going to get to that depth of knowing yourself to actually know what you want to go after. So from trying to avoid so much judgment and expectation, you've actually put yourself in a bit of a pickle where it's hard to have anything to work towards and move towards. If you're the type of person who's found it really hard to set goals, to stick to goals, to dream big, if you've ever watched any video or had a coach or done any training around, like a vision board, or, in 5 years, where do you want to be? And you just feel stuck and you just feel like, I have no idea, or I can say stuff. I want a house, I want a car, I want a this, I want a that. I want to make $1 million a year, but you never quite feel emotionally or energetically attached to it. This might be the reason. This is it. This is the whole point of today's reading. Looking at these in harmony with each other. You're blocked, you're stuck, because you've just been seeking escape routes from the pain, the difficulty, the overwhelm, the frustration. You're human. It's okay. We're not judging here. That's just what I see, black and white. we need, if not an equal 50-50, still a balance of stick and carrot. But the problem is figuring out what you actually want to work towards, which might mean just for a little while, let's focus on it just this week. Because remember, this is just a weekly reading. Focusing on how can you, okay, I see it, the answer. The answer is the sun. Because even though the Queen of Wands is powerful, she's still just operating from a limited perspective because of this judgment, because of this isolation. She doesn't quite know herself because she hasn't quite met herself yet. So your goal this week, your responsibility this week, your opportunity this week is to be a little bit more carefree, play around with what lights you up, allow yourself to learn more about yourself. This is a week of self-exploration. This is a week of self-celebration. This is a week of you meeting yourself. And on that note, we're going to pull our final card. This is from the Find Your Purpose deck by Jess Sanders. Because let's get a little bit more direction for you this week. Oof. So this is a picture. It's interesting, isn't it? What I see here is someone who only allows themselves to feel like a reflection of their true feelings, a smidgen of their pain. You've noticed your sadness and your disconnection and your disappointment and this separation from self for a long time, but you haven't quite yet allowed yourself to really look it in the eye, to face it front on, to go into the pain or the disappointment or the challenge, whatever it may be for you particularly. And that is that pathway through. Let's read what's on the back. So there is a beautiful quote from a beautiful woman, Glennon Doyle. Don't avoid the pain. You need it. It's meant for you. Be still with it. Let it come. Let it go. Let it leave you with the fuel you'll burn to get your work done on this earth. That is a more powerful stick than avoiding the judgment of the public, isn't it? Is don't avoid the pain. So whatever pain is in your past, whatever pain you've been avoiding, be still with it. Let it come, let it go, let it leave you with the fuel you'll burn to get your work done on this earth. You think you're strong if you avoid your pain, but you are strong when you face your pain. There's two questions and an affirmation that go with this. The question, have I been avoiding feeling my pain? Just hand on heart, ask yourself the question. Can I sit with it and be curious about what it has to teach me? Sit with it. Be curious. What can it teach you? And your affirmation for this week, you can write this in your diary, put it on your phone, put it out as a reminder, or just listen to it now and let it linger. I create space to feel my pain. I create space to feel my pain. This was a lot of energy this week. Well, I can't tell you what to do. I invite you not to lean into the overwhelm of this. You don't have to do this all in 1 week. You don't have to do this all in 1 day. You don't have to have all the answers simply because I gave you some insights and signs. These cards are little portals into the possibilities that can come next. If you feel that this has sparked something in you, if you sense that you are ready to get clear on this, you are ready to face your pain, you are ready to really use it as the fuel to burn, to get your work done on this earth, to move forward, I invite you to book a one-to-one reading with me. The information is below. There's also a discount code if it's your first time, you get 25% off. Also, if you're actually curious about the next 30 days, you can order a 30-day forecast. That isn't a face-to-face Zoom like the reading is, but I will pull a lot of cards for you and I'll go into depth through every single week in the next 30 days. You can also give me a bit of a focus and a direction there. If you want it on career, if you want it on your health or your relationships, if you just want a general reading on your life, what is coming your way over the next 30 days, I will hone in for you. So you can get this clarity and this insight and this confirmation and actionable direction on how to move forward. I'd recommend booking one of those. Alrighty, this has been the reading for the 8th to the 14th of July. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you have found it helpful and insightful and useful. If it has, please like, subscribe, and leave some comments. I'm a very small account, but I would love to grow so I can get my messages out to more people. So if you have found value, please do me a favor and do those things. Enjoy, and I will see you next week.